Hello. Okay, let me get everything kind of set up here. I'm still trying to get everything ready. So you can notice by the lack of couch behind me and the boxes that we're getting ready for Sioux Falls and that opening. So it's just like we're waiting for a couch to come in, which anybody that's ordered furniture lately has noticed that everything is taking forever to come in. So don't have a couch right now. So we have our 2 chairs we're making it work. So then I got some boxes. Like I said, we're all lined up, ready to go for Sioux Falls. We get the keys tomorrow and we are there. So we're already going to start. So hello to everybody who is watching. I'm going to wait just a few minutes and kind of get some more people on here, so that way everybody can kind of check things out. But this is all about the empathic / narcissistic relationship. Whether you were raised by one, whether you dated, married one, whether you have a sibling who is one, every empath will experience the wrath of a narcissist. So that's why I really wanted to talk about this. And I'm kind of excited about it because it's amazing to me of all the readings that I've done throughout the years. Gained a lot of knowledge, dated a few of them. So kind of know a lot about narcissistic personality disorder. A lot of times it goes undiagnosed because, well, a narcissist is perfect. Don't you know? They're always perfect. Nothing's ever wrong. So that's why a lot of times they have an issue with admitting anything is wrong, because they would have to admit fault first, which is a big issue. So let me describe kind of how a narcissist becomes a narcissist, right? 9 times out of 10, not every time, 9 times out of 10, a narcissistic man is spoiled by their mother. Spoiled. So there is a big difference in loving your children versus coddling. Coddled male and female children by the opposite sex parent is a narcissist. So that's why you have the princess syndrome. So that's a narcissistic girl. And the guy who's a narcissist is the perfect one. So girls are too, don't get me wrong. And that's why I'm like, I'm going to be talking the male, but there's also female narcissistic females as well. And they do come off a little different. So that's why I'm like, a narcissistic male is usually spoiled and coddled by their mother. So vice versa, if it's a female, they were spoiled and coddled by their father. So what ends up happening is when they get out in the real world, they're like, nobody's going to give me attention. Nobody's going to put me on the pedestal. Got to go find it. Got to go find it. And so they're the ones that either cause drama to be the center of attention, negative or positive, by the way, it doesn't matter. So they either cause drama or they somehow get into a situation where they are the center of attention. I will tell you that a lot of times, if they're a very difficult narcissist, it's because when mom was there, they got spoiled, but then mom left, or they have an issue with mom. For instance, if it's like the, and I'll use the word bipolar, but not necessarily. So if a narcissist, for instance, was spoiled by his mother, but then mom ended up being an alcoholic, or mom ended up having to get 4 jobs and she wasn't there. But when she was there, she ended up spoiling this child whenever she was there. So that's usually how it works. The opposite, the 10%ers are the ones that become narcissistic without the opposite sex parent. So usually those are going to be females. Usually we see that with the female, not so much with the males. So if a female is very strong-headed, and dad wasn't there, they usually become the bipolar narcissist. So if it's the male, like I said, mom was there, then not there, but mom was there, but then not there, usually that's the bipolar narcissistic male. So it really goes back to the opposite sex parent and how they were treated by that opposite sex parent. So I always tell people, 2 parents really do make solid kids. Whether they can co-parent very well, it matters. So that's why a lot of people in our society are always just like, oh, I'll do this on my own. And I'm like, you kind of need somebody to hold some feet to the fire. And sometimes that's the opposite sex parent. So like I said, yeah, so I'm going to start answering some questions because these are some really good questions coming up. And Michelle was asking, do narcissists ever heal? I'm going to tell you, the only time a narcissist is really going to change is one of two times. One of two. One, it's when they begin to go through a spiritual awakening. Usually that has to happen. Something has to rattle their cage and for order for them to go through that spiritual awakening. Usually if they do change, which by the way, after this happens, it's about 20% is when they bury their mother. So if it's a male and they bury their mother, they have an opportunity at that moment then to change, or they're gonna get worse. Usually they get worse. So the opposite with the female, like I said, the only time a female is really gonna change is when they bury their father. Whether that they were present or not, it doesn't matter what the relationship was. That's usually when they change. So, but it's a rare bird. It's a rare bird because again, in order for somebody to heal, they have to understand that they have a problem or that something is wrong. And a narcissist, in their mind, they're never wrong. Not that they always have a superiority complex, but they do. It's because it's never their fault. Nothing is ever their fault. They're not late because they didn't prepare. They're late because of traffic. They're late because they had to take a phone call. They're late because the tire was flat. It's never, I'm sorry, I'm late. It's always like, oh, party doesn't start without me anyway, so I'll show up when I show up. It doesn't matter. I don't care about your feelings. They don't care. Ever. Never. And so that's what really pisses the empath off, because the empath's like, do you not think about me? No, they don't. No, they don't. So is it possible for a narcissist to be an introvert? Yes, they can be. Usually those are, I know it sounds awful. Usually those are my crazy ones. But really, because they manipulate through guilt, but they also manipulate several other ways. Those, my inverted narcissists, those are the sneaky ones. Those are the ones that would rob you blind and you wouldn't even know it. And somehow it ends up being your fault. So those are the sneaky ones, at least the ones that are extroverted. You can see them coming from a mile away. You really can. So, but like I said, that's usually the covert narcissist, is the one that has learned how to be a little bit more sly because they've been called out before. So, and they care. They really care what people think. They really care. So my advice to a lot of empaths that are looking at getting a divorce is the easiest way to get out of this is to tell your partner, listen, let's keep this on the down low. Let's not tell a bunch of people that we're breaking up because I don't want your reputation to be hurt. And the narcissist will agree to it. They're like, oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. So that's how you play the game. And it is a game. It's an absolute game, but it is a mind fuck. It is. It's a mind screw up. And that's why the empath, by the time they get out of that relationship, if they ever do, is usually like, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? And I'm like, honey, you didn't. You didn't. You just got manipulated. So, but like I said, a narcissist knows how to manipulate through guilt. So here's the deal. When a narcissist and an empath get together, it is amazing at the beginning. Amazing at the beginning. He will reflect to you, or she will reflect to you who you've always wanted to be. And that's the one that you see your potential within that person, and then you see their potential. And so then what the empath does is slides all their stuff aside to help that person fulfill their potential. Problem: the narcissist doesn't see the potential within themselves. So what ends up happening is you get into this relationship and the first 3 months is absolutely amazing. And then all of a sudden, things start turning, usually after that 3rd month. And you're like, where'd this all come from? Like, why are you giving me attitude? Why are you all of a sudden tripping? And I'm like, that's where it's coming from. It's because now the newness has worn off, the attention has worn off, and they need that attention. Because remember, their mommy spoiled them too much. So if they are not constantly getting attention and praise, they must go find it elsewhere. So if it ain't with you, they're going to cause drama with you so they can get that attention again. So that's usually when it starts changing, is it about that third month. Either that or the narcissist is going to ghost you. One of the two. That usually happens. They get ghosted. So does the narc dynamic with the parent change at all if they identify gay? Usually it does. Whether they're gay, straight, or bi, they're usually narcissistic. So that doesn't change anything. It's just another method of them getting attention. So that wouldn't, yeah. I have a narcissistic parent. It's always about them. Absolutely. A narcissist doesn't have empathy. I'm going to repeat that one more time. A narcissist does not have empathy. Now they on a scale of 1 to 10, right? I'm going to show you something. Let me, I'm a visual person. Let me show you something. Because I got an idea. I've shown this once before, but I'm really going to break this one down. So here's the deal with this one. We have we got a scale. We got right here. We got that and that. So this is going to be a 10 right here, right here. This is a 1, okay? On a scale of 1 to 10, right there. So there's a 5 right in the middle, okay? So anything from 1 to 5, narcissist. Anything 5 to 10, empath. Anything 10 or more is considered an HSP, which is highly sensitive person. All right. So this is on a scale of empathy. On a scale of empathy. Now, there is a scale of empathy when it comes to the narcissist. So you can have a narcissistic man or woman at a 5 that are very selfish, but they care about animals. Like, you hurt an animal, they're going to kick your butt. So they do have empathy with certain things. So, but they're still selfish as hell. So that's where on the scale matters. So if you have a 1 right here, honestly, that's a sociopath. A sociopath has absolutely no empathy whatsoever, and they'll just kill you just to kill you. So that sociopath ones, those are usually the ones in prison. Being real, those are the ones in jail. So it depends on the scale on where they're at as far as narcissism is concerned, but this does matter. So because I know narcissistic people that are great when it comes to work, like great companions when it comes to work, terrible with relationship, but really good when it comes to work. Because here's the deal. You're either going to, if you come across a narcissistic person, especially a male, they're either going to be in a leadership position and make a lot of money, or they're going to be broke as a joke and blame everybody else and be a victim. One of the two. One of the two. So that's usually where it's at, honestly. So that's a big one. Does a narcissistic get worse with alcohol? Oh, absolutely. You want to talk about Jekyll Hyde? Hello. So absolutely they get worse with alcohol. Do they know that they're a narcissistic personality disorder? No. As a matter of fact, they're very reflective. They will call you a narcissist. Though I'm not narcissistic, you're narcissistic. They don't even know what that term means, but what they do is they flip that around on you. They flip it on you. Everything they say is self-reflective. So many times when they gaslight, for instance, when they start talking, it's really, the way they gaslight is good. It's good because a lot of times they're just going to be like, well, don't you love me? Why don't you love me? Out of everything that I've done for you, out of everything I've done from you, you're going to sit here and start an argument with me. And you're like, all you want to do is discuss what's for dinner. Yeah. Or they're like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. Yeah, I don't have time. You never appreciate me. I'm underappreciated. So again, it's all about the narcissist, and narcissistic people are bullies. Point blank, end of discussion. They are bullies because if they don't get what they want, they will either manipulate or force that situation for them to get what they want. That's why I'm telling you, if a narcissistic empathic relationship is like peanut butter and jelly, one's a giver, one's a taker, period. And it's never 50-50. It's 80-20. The only time a narcissist comes to you is when they want something. They don't call to say, hey, what's up? How you been? They don't do that. They're calling because they want something. Point. That's it. It's never to check in on you because they don't fucking care. They don't care about you. They care about what they're going to get from you, whether that's attention, money, and because narcissists are big on money, power, control. Money, power, control. Those are the three things that they try to control. They really do. So when they call you up out of nowhere, that's what they want. That's what they want. So like I said, that's a big one. Is it true we all have narcissistic tendencies? Jessica, I do think that's true. We all have a little bit. I mean, we really do. But the more you become enlightened and aware of it, easier it gets. Really does. So that's why I'm like going, I think before, would I have considered myself narcissistic? Absolutely. Ask my ex-husband. He'd agree. So I absolutely treated him like crap. So, and I know that I did, but at that time I didn't know any better. I didn't. So do I think I definitely would have been in that category? Absolutely. Absolutely. Am I that way now? No, I'm not. So, because now I got empathy. So a lot of it. When does an empath know enough is enough? Rudy, I will tell you, they don't. And the one thing that I always have to tell my empaths is there's two reasons why they stay. One is guilt. They feel guilty if they leave their partner because one, they honor their word and they're loyal as loyal comes. But number two, they still have hope. They have hope that that other person is going to change because again, they still see their partner's potential and the partner doesn't see their own potential. And so what ends up happening is you beat a dead horse and then pretty soon my empath just keeps beating the dead horse. I'm like, are you done? Well, maybe he said he was going to change. I'm like, a narcissist's actions never match their words. You can tell if somebody's narcissistic because number one, they're usually late. They talk about themselves. It's always about me, I. It's always that way. And you can even tell it by the way they treat the wait staff. They will treat the wait staff very superior or egoic. I'm like, that's when you're just like red flag. And I'll tell you, I was on the dating scene for a while and I don't regret it. And here's why, because I can spot one from a mile away now. So if they literally if I'm there at 6 o'clock and they said to me at 6 and they show up at like 6:30, 6:45, no text, no phone, no nothing, I'm walking out. I walked out. And this one guy's like, are you walking out on me? And I'm like, yeah, because you told me to be here at 6 and you got here at 6:30. I am not waiting on you because you would be upset if you had to wait for me. And then he was like, wow, you were a bitch. I got up and walked away. There was a guy behind me that heard him talking to me. And he goes, did you just call her a bitch? I'm like, I walked out. I'm like, bye now. Bye. So that's the biggest thing. But when a narcissist first starts, they really are going to kind of flatter you. But like I said, after about 3 months, it begins to change. Absolutely begins to change. So, and a narcissistic guy is always the one that proposes before 2 months. So, and the reason why? Because they just found their mama. They just found their person to take care of them. So, because a narcissist needs to be doted on and taken care of. Truly, they do. But here's the deal with this one, is narcissistic men and women, they cheat. And they cheat every single time. Every time. Because again, if you are not giving them 24 attention, they will go find it elsewhere. So when is the number one time a husband who's narcissistic is going to cheat on their wife? When? When's the number one time? When the wife is pregnant. And why is that? Do you think he's unhappy about this baby coming? No, he's unhappy because he's no longer the center of attention. He's no longer the center of attention because mom and baby are the center of attention. That's always, almost always when they cheat. Or the female is doing great in her career and she's really nailing it and taking off. They can't handle it. They can't handle it. That's usually when they cheat. So like I said, narcissistic people all 9 times out of 10 cheat every time. I honestly don't really know of a loyal narcissist. So maybe on that scale of, 1 to 5, maybe a 5, but they almost always cheat. Now here's the deal, is that you can show that narcissistic person on your cell phone. You can be like, I got proof. I got proof. Let me show you. You can show them a video of them in bed with another woman and they will deny it. They will deny it every single time. And if they do admit it, fine. But if you wouldn't have done this and this, if you would have given me the attention, if you would have done this for me, if you would have done that for me, then I would have never thought about cheating on you. But I had to because you weren't giving me blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is, it's usually you're not giving me money. You're not doing my laundry good enough. You're not doing something. So like I said, they will always twist it and say, it's your fault. I wouldn't have done it if you would have done X, Y, Z. So, and that's only if you catch them red-handed. They rarely admit fault. It's never their fault. It's always somebody else's fault. Like I said, that's the one thing about a narcissistic person is that they cannot admit when they are wrong. They can't do it. They can't, because in their mind, they are perfect. So, like I said, they always do that. I caught my ex in the bedroom with a naked woman and him wearing only jeans, no boxers, scratches down his back, but he still denied it and said it was his brother. Yeah, that sounds about right. And what's so good about a narcissist is that when they lie, it's actually plausible. It's like, well, that is possible. So, and usually what the empath does is excuses that behavior because, well, that's a good enough excuse. I'll buy that. I'll buy it. So, like I said, they do not admit when they are wrong. And again, if they need attention, they will create drama just to get that attention within the family, within friends, within anything. So a lot of times you will see highly narcissistic men, they don't have a lot of guy friends. And you want to know why? Because alpha males can sniff out a narcissistic man, fake ass bitch. They can sniff that out from a mile away. So you can always tell a narcissist when they walk in the room because they'll act like a peacock until they see the alpha male in the room. And then they hide. So that's why I'm like going, they're proud like little peacocks until alpha male lion is in that restaurant and they make eye contact. And alpha males know a narcissistic man when they see him because they're like, I'm gonna beat that boy's ass. And they do, they want to beat their butt. So it's so funny because narcissistic men usually get in fights. So because that superiority complex. And when alpha male comes by, they're gonna get a licking. So like I said, a lot of times that's kind of how it happens. Let me see here. How to handle narcissists at work. I know this sounds awful. Play the game. If it's a female narcissist at work and you have to work with her, compliment her. Like, oh my God, that shirt looks so good on you. You look great today. And then walk away. You will get whatever you want, whatever you need. So give them a compliment. I know it's hard sometimes. Oh, I know it is, but give them a compliment. So as weird as that sounds, remember, they need to be the center of attention. And 9 times out of 10, they are in alpha roles, such as a boss, a manager, a business owner, something like that. So that's almost always where it's at. Now, if it happens to be a dude and he's, superior, again, but I don't want you to act like a servant, but in a way, you just kind of fake it. You're like, oh, do you need a cup of coffee? Do you need anything else? Oh, you're good. Okay. So then he's going to be like, I like her. She needs a raise. She needs a raise. So if there is any drama and he likes you, you're fine because he'll make up lies just to make sure that you stay because you are doing something for him that's not asked. So like I said, that as stupid as that is, play the game. play the game. So that's a narcissist knows the game. So I'm telling you, I've learned a lot on how to play the game. So, and it really is a game, and that sounds stupid. So, but it is. When it comes to parents being narcissists, I'm gonna tell you, if you're a child that was raised by a narcissistic parent, most than likely you are the complete opposite, and you're a high empath. And a lot of times, if it's a father who is a narcissist and it's a girl, a lot of times the girl honestly has almost like PTSD, because you're like, hey, could you hand me that pencil? They're like, oh my God, here you go. I'm so sorry. Here you go. I should have grabbed it sooner. I'm so sorry. Here you go. And you're like, I just wanted a pencil. So that's somebody that was raised by a narcissistic father. So I can always tell those, because they're always apologizing for something irrelevant that they don't need to apologize for. But it's almost like a weird PTSD effect. It really is. So that's why I'm like, vice versa if it's a dude. So I can tell you that I know somebody that was raised by a narcissist. Like I said, they're highly empathic, and they are so attuned to everybody's senses. Those are my mega HSP high empaths. That's where they come from. You're a high empath because you were probably raised by a narcissistic parent. So if it's a same-sex parent, it's a little easier. If it's the opposite sex parent, it's a little harder. So, because the opposite sex parent has a huge bearing on the outcome of that child. So as far as unconditional love is concerned. So same-sex parent sets up success by showing you what to do in situations as far as work things, house things like that. So that's where I'm like, usually it's the opposite sex parent that has the biggest bearing on a child and their mental health, honestly. So, late to live. Let's see here. Today's younger children raised by a narc, what's the research say about them becoming narcs? Like I said, remember, a narcissistic male is being raised by let me back this up. If you have a mom and a dad, and the dad is narcissistic, and you have two children, okay? If the mom spoils the son, they will become narcissistic. If the dad spoils the daughter, she will become narcissistic. I'm sorry, that is a learned behavior. So it, to me, is no different than depression. If your mother was depressed and you are depressed, it's not genetic per se. It's because she taught you how to think depressive thoughts. She taught you your perspective on how to see things, maybe pessimistically, maybe negatively, or maybe more of a victim mentality. So that's where I'm like going, that's not necessarily something that's genetic. And that's where narcissism isn't, it's not genetic, it's a learned behavior. So, but usually, like I said, it is because you are being spoiled by the opposite sex parent. So it's a rare bird if I see a dad who is a narcissist and a daughter who's narcissistic. Usually that doesn't happen. But almost always, if the dad's narcissistic and the son is narcissistic, it's the mother. So that means to tell me that he literally married somebody identical to his mother, because she's raising that child the same as that he was raised. So like I said, he married his mother. So you really have to, like I said, look at how you were raised by that narcissistic parent. But I'm telling you, so yeah, Emily's like, I know I had a PTSD from my mom at 43. I finally crawled out of my lot for a lot of those issues. I'm like, it's true. So like I said, I can tell if you were raised by the opposite sex narcissistic parent, because you're almost overly sensitive. And a lot of times I'll get a text message like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to misspeak, or are you mad at me? And I'm like, huh? Mad at you? No, I'm like, we had a pleasant conversation. Why would I be mad at you? So, and I'm like, okay, if they're asking, are you mad at me? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to overstep, or they're very overly apologetic. They had a narcissistic parent. So I'm like, it's a PTSD effect almost. I mean, I don't think you can really put that verbiage on there, because I'm not a counselor. I don't know that, but that's kind of the reaction that I get. So if a gay narcissist is the opposite sex parent or same sex, it's still the opposite. It doesn't matter if they're gay, straight, or bi. The opposite sex parent still has a determining factor. Yeah. Rochelle's like, I have a narcissistic father and I'm the empathic daughter. It's the worst. I'm like, it is. And I'm going to tell you, usually highly narcissistic people die alone. And that's really hard for an empath. So if it's an empathic daughter, they're like, I got to take care of my dad. I'm like, why? Why? He's not going to appreciate you. He's going to do nothing but belittle and berate you and all this other stuff. I'm like, he made his bed, let him lie in it. An empath can't just let it slide. So a lot of times the empath will suck up their self-care, their self-worth, their everything to help the narcissistic parent in a situation where they need to be caregived for. And I'm like, no. That's a very toxic cycle, very toxic, because what it does is brings you right back to when you were a kid. So, and if you haven't dealt with those issues, oh, it's coming back. It's coming back. So, Tanya's like, I'm still trying to figure out if I'm married to one. Like I said, a narcissist, like I said, can't ever take accountability. Everything is always their fault. Their actions and words never match. Ever, never, ever match. Narcissistic father, mother is introvert narcissist. I'm like, yep, that sounds about right. So mother was a narcissist, tried taking care of her when dying of cancer. She caused so much drama in my life. I'm like, yep. Like I said, it's really hard because it's kind of like when the empath buries that person, it's almost like these two huge weights come off the shoulders, but they don't know how not to walk on eggshells at that point. Because a narcissist makes you walk on eggshells. And over time, they really manipulate you to think that it really is your fault. So it is a mind screw. So that way, when a lot of times when an empath gets out of the relationship, they're like, where did this go wrong? What did I do wrong? So, and a lot of times at that point, then the narcissist is going to call them back and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to change. I love you, blah, 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 blah. And then you move back and 3 months later, you're back to square one. Yep, that's a narcissist. Because they don't change. Again, they're only going to change temporarily to get what they want. Once they get what they want, they revert back to who they were. So, because they don't honestly want to change, they want to do it to get what they want. They want you back in the house so they don't have to do their own dishes and laundry. So, and they get attention. So, I still have nightmares about my mom's house and being there. I bet. Like I said, when I say to me it's a PTSD effect, it really is. Really is. Yeah, a lot of people are, this is where, when you have a narcissistic parent, this is where I have an issue maybe with society or maybe the boomer generation, where they're like, well, they're still family and you have to love your family. No, you don't. No, this is where boundaries must happen, must. And that's where I have to tell people, I'm like, no, you have to put a boundary between you and your toxic parent. And if that means that you don't talk to him for self-preservation, so be it. So be it. So this is where a lot of people have an issue. Like I said, they're like, oh, but they're family. You should never just cut off your family. I'm like, really? Really? Were you raised by a narcissistic parent? Oh, you weren't. Shut up, sit down. So that's what I'm saying, is that when it comes to narcissistic parent, you will get to a point where you have to cut them off unless they cut you off first. Because here's the deal with the narcissistic parent. They have no problem, none at all, going in last minute, changing their will, and having the one family member who did their bidding gets everything and they write everybody else off. And they've got no problem doing it. Narcissistic parents have no problem cutting off all ties and communication with a child if that child doesn't do what the narcissist wants them to do. They'll cut them off. And everybody's like, how could you do that? I'm like, they don't have empathy. They don't have empathy. So they don't care. They don't care. So, and a lot of people are really trying to, like, they're like, oh, again, it's family. I'm like, no, not if they're toxic. No, absolutely not. And you will find that once you put up the boundary and you don't answer the phone when a narcissist calls, oh, you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it. So, but again, like I said, narcissistic people are lazy. They're point blank lazy. They don't want to do the work themselves. That's why they have to have a bunch of people around to do it for them. So, and my empaths the empath will be so wanting to help them because of their potential that they would wipe their butt if they asked them to. So I'm like, really? And that's usually when they're in real deep. Like they don't know that they're in a really crappy relationship. And this is where, a narcissistic relationship is, to me, verbally abusive, because they manipulate. Again, they manipulate with their words through guilt. So they always guilt the empath. And the empath really is like, oh, well, I guess maybe I takes accountability. Maybe I did do that a little bit wrong. So I'll make sure not to do that next time. So I'm like, honey, I don't care how perfect you are. You will never be perfect enough. Not for a narcissist. Nope. So, but most of the time, narcissistic men usually aren't too physically abusive. Depends on alcohol. But they can be. They're almost always verbally and emotionally abusive. So, and by the time the empaths gets out of that relationship, they're beat up, exhausted, probably 100 pounds overweight, because of the guilt. Because that's why the stuff sticks. And it's also a buffer. So that's why they're extra padded, to buffer their feelings. So, and when by the time the empath gets out, they're done. And most of the time when they get into then an apartment or something like this, it's like they're not having to walk on eggshells anymore. And they're like, is this how normal it is? I'm like, yes. But again, the narcissist will still call them and be like, hey, so here's the deal. You can always tell a narcissistic man because they always have a plan A, plan B, plan C, and a plan D. Always. Because if plan A doesn't work, plan B is going to work. So if plan B doesn't work, we got to make sure that plan C is still in place. So this is why they will call you and be like, hey, how you been? Doing, oh, that's so good. We should get together sometime. Okay, talk to you later. Click, then bye. They never make the damn plan. They never make the plan. They just say, well, we'll keep in touch. Guess what, honey? You're plan C, or the safety net. Usually the ex-wife or the ex-girlfriend is the safety net. So that's why I'm like going, it's a no. If you're not willing to put me in first place, then you're not willing to get me at all. Sorry. So our narc mother is usually emotionally and verbally abusive every time. Not usually. Every time. Every time. Because an empath would never purposely hurt another person's feelings. An empath wouldn't do that. A narcissist would. Because again, they don't care. It's all about money, power, control. If they can control you and they do it with guilt or verbal assaults to get you to bend, then that's what they're going to do. So my question always goes back to the empath. And my question would go back to the empath and say, why would you allow this? Why do you continue to allow it? And you know what they say? Because I love him. I'm like, but he don't love you. Oh, yes, he does. He just does it in a different way. I'm like, no, that's not love. That's manipulation, baby. So no. You don't understand you don't understand our relationship. No, pretty sure I understand your relationship. It's an empathic, narcissistic relationship, and you don't want to leave because either A, you're scared to be alone, or B, he's literally taking all of your self-worth out, or C, you're staying in it for the kids, which is worse because then your kids see that you being treated like that is acceptable behavior. So, like I said, is there a way to let the parent know that they are this way? No, because again, a narcissist is perfect. If you tell them that they are a narcissist, I'm telling you, they will beat you with words. They're gonna be like, I'm not narcissistic. Let me tell you why I'm not. Because you are. Let me tell you why you're narcissistic. Because you always think about yourself. You always want to come to me with a fight. So I'm not narcissistic. Like I said, you can't get a narcissist to admit they're narcissistic. You can't. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. They don't care. So that doesn't work. So you will never get them to change. A narcissistic man will change if they bury their mother. A narcissistic female might change when they bury their father. That is the only time that I've ever seen a narcissist change, unless they go through a spiritual awakening by something different. So, yeah. My dad was very narcissistic growing up. When his mom died, he turned into an alcoholic and isn't so verbally abusive anymore. So instead of giving up the verbal abuse, he decided to drink instead. But do you see what I mean? They don't get better. They just choose a different path. So that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part. So can an empath turn to controlling tendencies in their own life after coming out of a narcissistic parent? Absolutely. So, because again, your parents are only going to show you what you feel is right. And unless you know it's wrong, you wouldn't know any other way. So, narcs don't ever question if they're a narcissist. No. Why would they question that? That would mean that they had fault. No, they're perfect. No, you have narcissism. You do, not me. So yeah, like I said, lost my best friend to a narcissist. Yep, that's usually after that 3rd month, your friends are like, hey girl, you want to go out? You want to hang out a little bit? You want, oh, you can't. Oh, okay. Okay, because your husband needs food on the table. Got it. Yeah. So a narcissist will always tell you that you're crazy. They're the crazy ones, but they're going to tell you that you're crazy. And what the empath does is go back and go, am I acting crazy? Now, what the narcissist does is pokes you so much with gaslighting, ridicule, negative crap that what happens with the empath, they can only take so much before they clap back. And when they clap back, that's when the narcissist is like, see, I told you you're crazy. See, I told you. You're acting all crazy. Look at you acting all crazy. I told you you're crazy. And you're like, because you got me to this point. So, but again, they won. They got exactly what they wanted. They were the center of attention. They got to control and manipulate the situation, and you bit into it. You caved. So the biggest thing that I can tell you is that if you know a narcissist, learn how to respond and react differently. Because again, the narcissist is like a 3-year-old bully that if they don't get attention, they'll throw a temper tantrum. Literally, that's what they do. And so I always see a narcissistic guy like a 3-year-old toddler. If you don't get you what you want, they're literally going to throw a temper tantrum in the middle of the grocery aisle until you turn around and be like, what? What do you need? So, and they're like, well, finally, but I love you. And you were just so pretty today. I just love you. But could you make sure my dishes are done by the time I get home? Because I won't have enough time to do them. Thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's what it is. So like I said, they're bullies. They're literally 3-year-old bullies. That's how I see them. So I always felt crazy or guilty for feeling this way. And I'm like, yeah, you can't. And that's hard. Like I said, it's easier to be in a relationship with a narcissist because you can cut that relationship off. To have that as a parental issue, that's hard. That's a lot harder because you want to maintain that line of communication, but there isn't a reasonable communication. There isn't. And the only time they want to communicate, again, is when they want to be right or when they want to control some situation or if they need something. So can an empath HSP become less empathic? Yes, they can. Yes, they can. So I used to be overly empathic. I've learned how to scale that down. And I've learned how to do that by understanding how they were raised. It's a lot easier for me not to over empathize when I'm like, oh, the reason why you're so, oh my God, here's the pen. I'm so sorry. The reason why you're like that really is because of how you were raised with a narcissistic parent. And so that's where I'm not going to over empathize with you, but I'm going to help you work through that. So, because like I said, that's a weird PTSD response. So again, they don't always know that. They don't. But over time, as the empath becomes more enlightened, they get tougher. They get tougher. They still have empathy, but they get tougher. It's selective empathy. Like, I'm going to help grandpa cross the street, but I'm not necessarily going to listen to you cry and whine to me when we've already discussed a solution. So you see what I mean? I'm like, I've already empathized with you once. I'm not going to do it twice because you're an idiot doing the same thing over again. See what I mean? I just blocked him on the phone. Yeah, buddy. So, and that's the best way to do it because narcissistic people, after even a breakup, will give you intermittent hope. intermittent hope, just to string you along to make sure that you're going to be there in case they get lonely. Now, here's a narcissist's greatest fear. What is the narcissist's greatest fear? What is the scariest thing for them? Anybody know? What's the scariest thing for an empath? To be alone. To be alone. That means nobody would be able to give them attention. Nobody would be able to praise them. So for them to be alone would be scary. Like it would literally scare the hell out of them. So that's why they always have that plan A, B, C, and a safety net. They always do. So because again, they can't be alone. So 9 times out of 10, they're not empathic enough to have an animal. So usually narcissists are like animals. God, they just make a mess. Ugh. I'm like, you have no empathy, that's why. Will he just walk away after he finds out that I blocked him? Nope. Oh no. You don't get to walk away from a narcissist without hearing an earful first. Because again, they can't take accountability. They're going to say, you're crazy. You just lost the best thing that's ever happened to you. You don't even know what it's like not to date somebody like me. How dare you? Crazy ass, blah, 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 blah. So that's how you can tell you're dating a narcissist, by the way. On the first date, if they tell you, all my exes are crazy, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. So red flag. If they sit there and say all their exes are crazy, no, that's a narcissist. Only a narcissistic person says that. All my exes are crazy. No, only a narcissist says that. How do you forgive yourself for falling for a narcissist? You don't. And I'm going to tell you, you don't have to forgive yourself because you didn't know any better at the time. You didn't. So, but at the same time, it was a wonderful lesson to experience because you will never take another person for granted or their feelings after you've had an encounter with that person. So there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, no reason to necessarily forgive yourself, but an empath's biggest issue or their Achilles heel is guilt. So that's a big one. Okay, somebody's saying, let me see. Somebody just asked a question. Okay, I'm not seeing it. I missed it. Okay. Let me see. Did you see All I Did for You? Yeah, that's a narcissist. Absolutely. Like I said, it's really funny because those are the ones that are like, they're always busy, too busy. And I will tell you, to catch a narcissist cheating is kind of tough. So, because they're good. They're real good about manipulating, hiding, all that stuff. So, like I said, that's a big one. Let's see here. Yes, I have huge guilt for leaving my narcissist. No, because I'm going to tell you, Penny, if you have guilt for leaving a narcissist, they did a damn good job at manipulating your self-worth. They did a good job at manipulating your self-worth. And so when you get out of that relationship, you are going to feel guilty. And I'm like, don't walk away with your head held high, knowing that you gave it 110% and you had a partner that didn't, period, point blank. That's it. Like I said, no guilt after you leave a narcissist, but you're going to feel that way. That is a normal and natural response because again, you've been manipulated so long that that's really where your brain's at. And I will be real with you. It will take you a good 3 months minimum to get your head out of that process. It really, really will take you a little bit. So what about a narcissistic parent that also sexually abused their child? I hate to say that that's normal, but anybody that sexually abuses a child is narcissistic. Again, money, power, control. That's all that they have to have that. So Tracy's asking what makes a narcissistic parent. Like I said, what makes a narcissist or how they made. It's being spoiled by the opposite sex parent. It's being spoiled by the opposite sex parent. Can you expose a narcissist? Good luck. Good luck. Because everybody on the outside only sees what's on the outside. And usually within a relationship, if you guys break it off, the narcissist is absolutely going to talk crap about you to make you look as bad as possible. Even if it's a complete lie, they will absolutely do that. Absolutely. Because again, they got to look good in front of everybody. They can't admit fault. So they can't look bad. So they're going to bash you to make themselves look good. So Steph said, document everything. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is where, when the split happens, if we got kind of a Jekyll Hyde situation, this is where the empath has to make sure that they document everything and possibly file a restraining order if they have to. But sure as heck, the empath won't because of guilt. Well, I feel so bad because then everybody would know that he's doing this. I'm like, call him out. He's not going to take accountability anyway. So maybe something might be able to protect you. So like I said, they don't care. That doesn't bother them. But again, you're going to get an earful when you do it, but you don't have to answer the phone. My empaths are like, oh, he's calling. I need to. I'm like, put the freaking phone down. We're like, no, but I have to. I have to. No, you don't have to talk to him. Put the phone down. No, you don't. Oh, but I have to. I'm like, no, that is how he trained you. That is how you got trained or programmed. You got to get unprogrammed on that. So that's not easy. Like I said, at the very least, it takes 3 months to get your head out of your butt to be able to go, oh, God, what was I thinking? So it takes a while. It really does. That's why I'm like, when you leave a narcissistic relationship, it's a mind junk, man. You're all shades of messed up for a good few months. So, and those are the ones that will then come in and question, be like, did I do the right thing? I'm like, you're kidding, right? Of course you did the right thing. I'm like, of course, but you're so used to doting on the other person, you don't know what to do when you're not praising, complimenting, doing what he wants. So I'm like, yeah, you did the right thing. Yep. I feel physically sick. Am I making my son a narcissist? Like I said, Tracy, hold him accountable when he's doing something wrong. So that is the one thing. My son is 16 years old. I never coddled that boy. Don't get me wrong. I love my son very much. I give him hugs and kisses and squeezes, but I'm not going to sit there and rub his head and be like, you're so handsome. You're such a good boy. Everybody loves you. Oh, you never do anything wrong. You are so wonderful. No, don't coddle. Yes, love, but rules, consequences, and they have to own something that they've done. The narcissistic kids, you can tell them, but you can get them out of that phase by, again, having them own the mistakes. So, did you do this? No. Until you can own it, you're either going to be in timeout and disciplinary actions, or we're going to sit here until you can own it. That was a tough one for both of my kids. I'm like, if you make a mistake, you own it. That was hard. But I'm like, a narcissist can't do that. They're going to make an excuse. And they're really good at making those excuses. And that's why I'm like going, just don't allow it. Like I said, the opposite sex parent, if they spoil that child, they will become narcissistic. And what I mean by that is like, you're like, give them $5 and tell them to run inside and get some milk. So, and they're going to be like, that's your job. I'm sorry? No, go get some milk. So, but the biggest thing is that if you're parenting with guilt and you're overly spoiling your child, I can tell you, you haven't dealt with your childhood trauma, and you're then passing it on in a different way to your children. So that's where you have to be kind of careful with that. Yeah, I'm overly compassionate because his dad is one and treats him horrible. You got to remember, Tracy, your son picked you and his father for a reason. Let his father do what he's going to do. But you parenting through guilt is going to mess that kid up worse than anything else will. So that's, I'm going to be there to support your son. Absolutely. If he's, especially with anger, because if it's dad who's a narcissist, he's going to be angry. So absolutely help him work through that, but don't coddle him because of that. You can't do that. You can't. That's parenting through guilt. So, and then the other thing is you don't reward bad behavior. My empaths will feel guilty and they'll reward bad behavior, which makes the narcissist even worse. So again, they get what they want. So a lot of parents really don't want to discipline their kids nowadays. And I'm like, no, you need to. So again, there's just too much of that not happening. And I'm like, we have rules in society. It's like, you can't go 90 miles an hour past a school zone. I'm like, we have rules in society. You need to have rules at home too. So, but there's a difference between taking care of your kid and loving them unconditionally and being there for them. And there's another thing to coddle and spoil. So a narcissist got coddled and spoiled, and almost always they're the youngest one of the family. So, or the oldest, youngest or oldest, usually. How does an empath avoid attracting a narcissist? Understand their methods. Understand that on that first date, you will see the red flags. That first date will tell you everything. So, but once you understand it and see it, it's almost like you pass the test, and then here comes soulmate. So, let's see here. His mother is the flake of the century. Did he become a narcissist because of that? Depends, but most than likely, yeah. So he'd be the bipolar narcissist. Like I said, there's narcissistic ones, and then there is the Jekyll Hyde bipolar ones. So those are the ones that had a coddle. They were coddled, but then the mom wasn't there, or they were spoiled, but then like I said, they got spoiled, but then mom wasn't there for them, or mom's an alcoholic, or whatever the case may be. So they were there, but they weren't there. So that's usually where that narcissist one comes from. Let's see here. He is now 14 and very difficult. And Tracy, that's why I'm like going, it's not too late. So, but the biggest thing is that when he gets to be difficult, rules, boundaries, and if we need to get him some counseling, preferably a male counselor, because that's who is irritating him. So that way he can understand how to deal with those negative emotions in a positive way, not a negative way, a positive way. So that way he can get out his anger in a positive way instead of taking it out on you. So, but the biggest thing is don't allow him to treat you that way. He's a child, you're a parent. So like I said, my kids know that. Just the other day, Paige came upstairs and said something, and I was like, what did you just say? She goes, oh, I didn't mean to say it that way. I'm like, I didn't think so. So, because like I said, I don't allow that in my house. Not that they have to respect me, not at all. But at the same time, you don't talk to me that way. And I will tell you, just the other day, I had a girl come in who was 22, 23 years old, clearly narcissistic. She comes up to the front counter and looks at me, and she's like, excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. In my world, we don't do finger snaps. We say please and thank you. So if you'd like something from the case, you can say please or thank you. And she looked at me and went, oh, may I please see something in the counter? Yes, you may. So like I said, I don't even allow people to talk to me that way. No. So, Sempra, here's the deal. She's already asking, did he ever love me? And that is the number one question an empath will ask me. Did he ever love me? No. He loved what you did for him. They don't understand unconditional love. They only know conditional love. If you do this and this and this for me, then I will give you the attention that you deserve. No, give it to me anyway. That's unconditional. There's always conditions with a narcissist. Always. Therefore, do they know how to love unconditionally? No. So did they ever love you? Not the way you love them. Absolutely not. 80-20. They loved you 20. You loved them 80, 100, 110. So that breaks my empath's hearts to say. It really does. So they never loved you. They never cared for you. They'll move on because they already have a plan B and a plan C, remember? You're now the safety net. So like I said, not that, and that's what hurts, because like I said, we saw the potential in them. We really did. Oh my God, really? He didn't love me. It all makes sense now. I'm like, yep. What about a narcissistic father, an alcoholic mother? Rachel, I will tell you that is some serious bull crap on how you were raised. You were raised by pure dysfunction. And I hope that you're working on healing that inner child. Really, I do. So, because I'll tell you what, if you were raised by a narcissistic dad and alcoholic mother, you're either one of the most compassionate people in this world, that's the humanitarian that's going to like seriously help a lot of people, or you're going to play that victim role. Oh, poor me. So it's either A or B. You're going to be one of the two. That's what I really hope that you heal that so you are not a victim. So like I said, yep, you had those two parents, but at the same time, I'm like, that doesn't define who you are now. Don't let it. And the hardest part, forgiving your parents. Because here's the deal. If you had a narcissistic father, he was spoiled by his mother. An alcoholic mother, that's a hurt mom. She's hurt, real hurt. Most likely due to an abandonment issue by her father. Most unlikely. Because if a woman is an alcoholic, it's usually due to abandonment of some way, shape, or form. So if a guy is an alcoholic, almost always it's because they had a very difficult father. Very difficult father. Yeah, believe it or not, you're going to reach a day when you won't care if they loved you. And that is true. You'll get to a point where you'll be able to look back at that relationship and go, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for teaching me how to respond differently, how to react differently. Thank you for teaching me how to be dependent on myself, on me and me only. So I can look back at my narcissistic relationship and go, I learned so much. I do not regret it. Do I regret the years? Absolutely not. No, I don't. I don't at all. Like I said, in a weird way, I appreciate it. I do, because I learned a lot. So, but that's also, I can sit there and talk to you guys about a narcissist because shit, I dated one. I know exactly what it's like. So, and I didn't see it. Oh my God. I even taught it and I didn't see it coming. I got swindled. So that's all right. So we pick our family before we're born. Is this a pre-planned lesson? Yep. That's what I'm like going, I had to learn how to love myself unconditionally. That was difficult because I always tried to find it within relationships. So my codependency was wrapped up in that. And once I figured out how to love myself and realized that I don't need anybody to take care of me and I don't need anybody to make me happy, that's when that was a game changer. So that's why I don't ever regret any of my past. I don't. I really don't. Because if I hadn't gone through all those hardships, all those things, all those stupid mistakes, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I wouldn't. So I wouldn't. I want no contact. How do I process the loss of a relationship that was very much an illusion? Baby steps, one day at a time. And I'm telling you, an empath is when they get out of that relationship, it is better for them not to have any contact whatsoever so you can heal. Because here's the deal. As an empath, if you just go peek, if you peek on their Facebook to see what they're doing, you just got yourself 3 days of hell. So you are literally going to be mentally tortured for 3 days because you peeked. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, no, I don't want you peeking. I don't want you talking about that person. No. Literally out of sight, out of mind. Really, because you can't be friends with a narcissist. They don't do friendships. They're not loyal. They don't freaking care. It's about themselves. That's it. There is no loyalty. A narcissist isn't loyal. So what if the female is a narcissist and the male is an empath? Same boat, vice versa, same. That female will cheat. At one point in time, she's gonna cheat. And she's usually gonna cheat when you're working overtime, gone for the weekend, grinding for the family. Well, you're not home enough. You're not home enough, so I needed attention. So what did you expect me to do? I don't know, be loyal? So yeah. So it's the same thing, Dawn, it's just vice versa. So a female, a narcissist will always cheat every single time. Even if, a lot of times I'll have an empath come in and be like, is my husband cheating? And I'm like, first of all, unless you're freaking paranoid, which sometimes that is the case, but I'm like, well, if you think he's cheating, then he is. My question goes back to you. Again, why would you freaking allow it? Why? Why would you allow somebody to treat you like crap, just go ahead and just flaunt their crap wherever they want to while you're at home making dinner, making sure that everything is A-okay with your family and everything else? Why would you allow it? Don't. Leave. Get out of that situation. Leave. So, and no, it's not easy. I'm fully aware of that. I'm a single mom. I've been a single mom for years. Thank God I got a wonderful husband now. So, but at the same time, I'm like, don't allow it. Don't. You never allow anybody to treat you like crap. And if you do, it's because, again, you allow it. I don't let anybody on the street talk to me that way. So let alone me hearing it at the nail salon. So that just happened here not too long ago. Sorry, I didn't mean, I'm just trying to get there. That happened to the nail salon. Hear one person talk about, do these Chinese people not know how to do their nails? Paige can vouch for me. So I'm like, I came unglued because I will not see racism in front of me. I won't allow it. I can't. I got to get involved now. And I hope the rest of you do too. So let's see here. Yeah, learn to be alone. You'll find yourself and learn to love you. It's true. It's true, Lisa. That's very, very true. Once you have no contact, they will stalk you. They will. So I'm like, you know what? Show them all them happy pictures. Show them all the happy pictures. So the other thing too is I did do a video on YouTube about cutting cords. So after a relationship with a narcissist, I highly suggest you cut cords. So I've got a video on that. I think it's like number 2 video. You'll want to do that. So that way you're not tied to them. Because a narcissist knows how to dig in and really get some ties in there. So if you know how to break those ties, it's really going to help you feel a lot more relief. So, and if you don't know how to do that, it's all good. Get a Reiki master in there to kind of help you out. How do we disconnect the energy? Yeah, cut cords. And I will tell you, sex with a narcissist, best ever. That's what makes it hard for a woman to leave. That's what makes it hard for a guy to leave. When a girl is really narcissistic, those are the ones that they won't even let their husband talk to their own family. And the reason why the husband gets swindles is because the sex is that good. So that's what really mind screws with the women a lot of times, because they're really good at that 9 times out of 10. So that's what makes it even harder for usually some empaths to get out of that relationship as well. So like I said, they have magic. So yeah, once you start your life over and live your best life, that really upsets a narcissist. Oh, trust me, it does. Oh, trust me. So, and the funny thing is that you'll like, they'll reach out to you. Oh, I see that you're doing so well. I'm so happy for you. So anyway, let's talk about me. So anyway, let's talk about, hey, you know, we really should go out sometime. I'm like, oh my God, once again, it's coming back. So hang on, my camera is just acting shady. And this always happens when I'm talking. Okay. Everybody's like, yeah, they're magical. I know. So what? Oh, okay. You gotta do weave?
I don't know what it goes like.
Well, yeah, I'll help you later. So, Mine was only good in the beginning. Like I said, first 3 months, magical. Magical. After that, reality sets in. They've gotten over the flutters. So a lot of narcissistic men and women will be in short relationships, like 2 months here, 3 months here, 2 months here, 3 months here. And the reason why is because of that challenge, that chase, that magic. They're like, oh, it's so good. And then when reality sets in, they bail, they ghost, they ghost. So those are almost always the ghosters. So, all right. So let's see here. La, 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 la. So any other questions? Like I said, I want to answer some questions. Does someone else got the magic after that? Yep. Yep. So like I said, that's what the soulmate's for, to erase all of that. And be like, here, now that you learned your lesson, I got you a little extra something special. And then you're like, now wait a second. Shouldn't be this easy. Yep. That's a soulmate relationship. When you're in an empathic, narcissistic relationship, it is a karmic relationship. So there's 3 types of relationships. There's the karmic relationship, empath, narcissist, parent-child. There is the soulmate relationship and the twin flame. Twin flame is rare, okay? No adult is going to be in a twin flame. The only reason why twin flame came about is because of these rainbow kids coming in. So when a rainbow kid finds their twin flame, that's a different story. So, but that ain't gonna happen probably in our lifetime. Let's be real. So that's why, like I said, everybody's like, oh, my twin flame. I'm like, your twin flame isn't married to somebody else, okay? Just stop. So that's a whole nother topic that I'm going to do probably in December, is talking about really going in depth with the differences between the twin flame, soulmate, and karmic relationship. So, and karmic relationships aren't meant to last. They're just not. Then our society, we're like, well, you married him, you got to stick with them. And I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Can a narcissist or anyone choose not to go through an enlightenment? It depends on what if they chose that before they incarnated. I know that sounds weird, but if a narcissist goes through an awakening, they do change, but it takes a while. So, but sometimes that does happen, but usually that's weirdly predetermined before you choose to come into this world. So, and it depends on your lessons. And again, you learn lessons by owning your participation with another person in that lesson. So a narcissist can't own it, therefore repeat pattern. So, and they keep repeating that. That's why they always say, my exes are all crazy. I'm like, no, they're not. You are. So, and again, they'll slide it. Oh, no, that's not me. It's not me. So, yep. Literally was struggling with a lot of pain, bought a moldavite ring 2 weeks ago and was like, what? Oh yeah, that'll vibe you high. That'll get you going. Let's see here. Yep, I've been through 2 narcissistic relationships. Please said I'm done learning my lessons. I hope so, Tanya. I hope so. So, but like I said, it's easy to get sucked in to a narcissistic relationship. It is so easy, and it's so good. Like I said, when it's good, it's awesome. But when it's bad, it's horrible. That's the empathic narcissistic, because there's never a middle ground, ever. It's either awesome or not, A or B. And it's a constant roller coaster, constant. It's never here with a narcissist. It's always a roller coaster. But again, they're always going to blame you. So Bella's asking, how do you know if you found your soulmate? Because you don't question it. There's no question. I found my soulmate. No question. I don't have to question if it is. It is. So he helps me to be a better person. I help him to be a better person. We're team. So absolutely 50-50. Yes, I have things that are different from him and he has things that are different from me, but that's my soulmate. Like, there's no question. Did I see it coming? No. Did I know that on the first or second date? No. So did I know that from a narcissistic relationship after the first date? That's when you get swindled. You're like, oh my God, this is so good. And then here comes the hope. So I might put your damn hope away and wait until after the 3rd or 4th date. So like I said, and almost always they're late. They're going to be late to the party and they don't apologize for it. They don't apologize for it. So they'll never sit there and say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. Thanks for waiting for me. No, they'll have an excuse. Like I said, my car broke down, blah, blah, blah. This happened, that happened. I'm like, no. See, you're not, narcissist is always projecting and gaslighting and abuse you. Absolutely. Absolutely. That, like I said, it's money, power, control. And if they don't have that over you, they will do whatever it takes for you to bend. So, and I will tell you, I have seen narcissistic parents bait their children against each other to have drama, just so they can then come in and swoop in and be the savior and be the center of attention. Let's not fight, children. Let's not fight. Like, you caused it. Are you kidding me? You were the reason why they were baiting each other. So, like I said, a lot of times they'll cause all this drama and then come in, usually narcissistic mothers. They'll come in and be like, oh, let me tell you about this drama, and let me tell you what I did to fix it. And I'm like, wow. So I will tell you, a narcissistic parent is so easy anymore for me to see, because there's two things. Number one, they're going to come in right off the bat and tell me how they're an empath. Empaths don't sit there and say right out the gate, I'm an empath. A narcissist does. And number two, I can tell if it's a narcissistic parent because they don't, especially with a woman. I don't know why my children won't talk to me. I have no idea why they choose to exclude me on things. I have been there since day one. I have raised them. I have bathed them. I have done everything. I have sacrificed everything for my children, and they won't talk to me. And I don't even know why. I have done everything. And I'm like, if your kids don't talk to you, it's because you screwed up. Point blank. Point blank. So, and here's the problem, is that when they say that, I've got it within first 5-10 minutes, I got them pegged. And they are going to sit there for the next 30 minutes in that reading and play a victim. And I don't play the game. So usually what I say is, I'm like, I'm going to say some things that you aren't going to like. And I want you to hear me out, because I don't know you from anybody else. Okay. But I want you to hear me out from an outsider looking in. Either that, or you're going to get really pissed off and you're going to get up and leave. Either way, I'm not giving you your money back. So why don't we have a conversation? And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to call them out. And they don't like it. But I'm like, you don't know me. And I know right now it's going in one ear and out the other. But I just want you to understand that the reason why your children don't talk to you is because you are so mean, vile, controlling, and rude that they have cut you off from seeing their own children because you are that vile. And I would tell your children, they're right. They're right from putting up that boundary with you, because it is their job to protect their children and keep their babies happy. That is their job. You are not supposed to allow anyone to come in to verbally abuse your children, to physically abuse your children. No, you protect your babies. And if that means that you have to cut your narcissistic mother off at the pass, so be it. So be it. And if they don't, and like I said, if they're not going to conform to your rules, then they don't need to come over at all. That's fine. So like I said, 9 times out of 10, when a narcissist comes in for a reading, they're going to play the damn victim. It's always the victim. I don't know why my children won't talk to me. I even got her when she was born, I got her an outfit. I just don't understand this. I'm like, seriously? Seriously? You're the narcissist. No, I'm not. I'm an empath. I'm totally an empath. So I will tell you, if you're questioning yourself, if you're a narcissist, you're probably not. You're an empath. So like I said, that's the biggest thing. I really want you guys to protect yourself from narcissistic people, because again, they're not going to change. They won't. They don't love you. They love themselves. They love what you can do for them. They love to manipulate through guilt, manipulate. So, but they don't love you. They don't love you like you love them. They just don't. They can't offer that to you. So the biggest thing is understand that. Sure, you could still be around that person, but don't take them personally anymore. Don't take them personally. You can't. So, and that's not easy to do, because like I said, my empaths, they have feelings and they matter. But a narcissistic person doesn't care about your feelings. Ever. All righty. Okay, guys. Hopefully this helps you to better identify kind of what's in a narcissist's head and how they learn how to truly manipulate the situation. Almost always it's by gaslighting and talking about, like I said, what they do for you. So, and even if you do get an apology, which is a rare bird from a narcissist, they are always going to say something like, well, I'm so sorry you feel this way. Not, I'm sorry I did this to you. I'm so sorry you feel that way. Seriously? No, apologize. So the last thing I want to talk about really quick is that a narcissist doesn't care about your tears. As a matter of fact, they actually get off on it. So they're like, yeah, I can control that. I got that. So like I said, I'm telling you, crying in front of a narcissist doesn't do a damn thing. It doesn't trigger an empathic response with a narcissist. It won't. So that's why I'm like going, don't even try. So like I said, a lot of times they don't understand the feeling of why you would cry. If a narcissist cries, it's usually because they're really pissed off. That's about it. Or they lost money somehow. That's usually it. So, all right, guys, hopefully this helps you out. Hopefully you can understand now where the boundaries really need to be placed when it comes to narcissistic parents, and when it also comes to narcissistic relationships. But like I said, really tough to see them coming. But like I said, number one rule, their actions and their words will not match. They won't. I'll be there at 7. They're there at 7:15. Yes, I will do that for you. And then they don't, but then they blame you for it. So like I said, their actions and words don't match. That's a big one. All right, guys. Cool. Thank you so much for attending this one. But like I said, if you know a narcissist, you can share it, but they're going to play the victim. They're like, oh, but I'm an empath. I know that I am. I'm like, so good luck. But in the same time, boundaries got to be handled. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful week ahead, and take care, guys. Bye.